So this is the excess supply of labor. Or, in Marx language, that's the Revolutionary Reserve Army. Same thing. Marx, those Chicago boys, same thing. Classical economic reasoning. Now, the same question as before we could ask, is that sustainable? Is that sustainable? And then the thing is, well, it may not be sustainable if there aren't any obstacles, but if there are obstacles, we have to remove these obstacles first for that Revolutionary Reserve Army to come into the market. No? Right? Cody, you like to have a different color up there. Orange? Okay. Why do we need orange? We need orange definitely. Why? Because the impact of having the wages being beefed up will be seen on output. What's going to happen? What's going to happen as some of us actually keep the job, others get fired? What happens to output? Sorry? Goes down. Okay. We used to produce this much. That's our capital curve here. Now only those people get employed. So accepting the Casper wages not only gets people fired and creates a huge pressure on the labor market, but it also shrinks the economy from here to here. If this is our optimal capacity utilization, that's our recessionary or output gap. I want you to remember it's all Casper's fault, by the way. We were doing fine, but now because of Casper, we have this problem. Yeah? Now I want to... How are you guys doing? Are you still here? I'm going to do one more thing and then I'll give you a quick break, okay? Let's take a step back and do this one more time. Casper comes and says peanuts or Casper wages. We said Casper wages. What's the result? Some people get fired. Others keep the job at Casper wages. Who pays for those people who get fired? Okay, do that stepwise. The government maybe because we have taxes. Taxes get raised on the wages. So the Casper wages, after increases in taxes to pay for those people who got fired, may be the same as the wages before. Learning is, this is a money illusion. They put you more money into the left pocket, but they take it out of the right pocket. But you at least have the job. Okay, Olivier, Fernando, and Joao, oh, these three are working. Olivier just got fired. Fernando and Joao, of course, keep on working. Except now we're increasing the taxes on their wages to pay for Olivier. So that Olivier can go to Mallorca to get a suntan. Okay? Fine. Now, we say, Fernando and Joao, you have to understand that, of course, if we do that, we're suffering an output gap. We can't do that. What you have to do is you have to become more productive. In order to maintain the same amount as before, we have to actually move from here to an even steeper, flatter productivity curve. So we tell these guys you have to become more productive. That's what we've done in Europe since the Second World War. We've been substituting more and more labor by capital, capital deepening development. In which case, Fernando and Joao, what do they say? I've become more productive. I would like to have what now? I don't want Casper wages. I want the Casper wages plus. In which case, now we're firing Joao. Because at these wages, we can't keep both of them anymore. So Joao joins Olivier in Mallorca to get a suntan. And Fernando keeps being employed. Then we raise the taxes on him again. And then he wants to have more productivity to be compensated for by higher wages. And we say, Fernando, you don't understand. Don't you know Malaysia? Don't you know Asia? Don't you know? Have you ever heard of China? What you produce here at your wages, you can actually employ 6 people in China. So we'll not give you an increase in wage. because we call that competitiveness now. We are threatened by our loss in global competitiveness. And what's going to happen? All of a sudden, Fernanda looks out the window and sees Olivier and Yao coming back from Mallorca with a suntan. And he says, I'm working my butt off for these guys to have an easy life. So all of a sudden, what used to be economically inefficient becomes politically corrosive. So unemployment has a couple of elements that we really don't normally think about. Unemployment, actually to some extent, is an illegitimate form of income redistribution. Because no one ever asked Fernando whether he likes to subsidize Olivier and Yao. It just happens because of the system. Unemployment may also lead to money illusion. And ultimately, unemployment may lead to political unrest and social corrosion. Unemployment, and that's the additional thing that we talked about earlier, may also have another effect that has to do with your self-esteem, remember? We're not just working for a living, but some of us actually follow a calling. So not only for economic and political reasons, but maybe also for philosophical reasons, some people say we should be fighting unemployment. We should be enshrining a right to work. That's one goal that we may have. Fighting unemployment for economic, political reasons, but also for philosophical concerns, the idea of a right to work. But there's another element that we have here. If you're trying to guarantee an economy a certain level of employment to deliver towards the right to work and to fight all the political elements of negative elements of unemployment, you still have to figure out how can you guarantee a right to work if your economy, like all economies, are fighting with one another in terms of who can leverage the mobile factors of production best by making the immobile factors of production more productive. Because all of our economies are competing on one level, and that is who can make this curve get flatter and flatter and flatter fastest. Because that's ultimately driving competitiveness. If there's any definition about competitiveness, it actually has to do with your edge in productivity terms, so that you are able to address the interests of the mobile factors of production better than a neighbor. And that ultimately means that you create the best leverage. Yeah? Now that, of course, creates a problem. And what is that? Guaranteeing people full employment and at the same time moving our curve flatter and flatter, what does that do? What does that do? We used to have this curve. Now what we have is an output up to here. So we have to produce more and more. We have to grow faster and faster. We become addicted to growth. We're becoming addicted to producing more and more, because otherwise we have to tell these people, I'm sorry, I cannot guarantee you full employment. So we seem to have a dilemma here, right? We have two objectives. Maintaining and having an edge in competitiveness, which ultimately means making this curve flatter and flatter. And at the same time, trying to deal with all the negative side effects of unemployment, plus the idea of having a right to work. It's a fundamental dilemma that we're having. And by the way, this may be a dilemma right now in the so-called OECD world, and may not be a dilemma in the emerging countries. But sooner or later, they will be catching up and facing the same conditions, same issue.